Pablo Picasso, the man, the mystery, the legend. Formerly known as Pablo Diego José Francisco de Paula Juan Nepomuceno María de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Ruiz y Picasso, he is known as one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. Picasso was born on October 25th of 1881 in the small sea town of Malaga. Despite financial difficulties in his family, Picasso lived a happy and peaceful childhood. In 1900, after receiving training in various prestigious Spanish art schools and experiencing the rich cultural atmosphere of Barcelona, Picasso hopped a train to Paris. He worked and lived in squalor amid large stacks of paper, old half-eaten food, empty bottles, canvases, and a zoo of cats, dogs, mice, and even a small ape. Despite living in poverty and working at night by the light of an oil lamp, Picasso fell in love with the city. Thus commenced his blue period, a span of 3 years during which Picasso painted works dominated by shades of blue. Inspired by the poor and the sick he was surrounded by, he painted the miserable lives of people shunned by society. His work was in stark contrast with the contemporary fauves, whose bright contrasting colors created feelings of warmth and energy. Picasso used melancholy colors, reflecting his view of the human condition. During one stormy night in 1904, Picasso met Fernand Olivier, and a friendship formed that ultimately developed into Picasso's first great love affair. As his favorite model and an inspiration for his art, Olivier was crucial in Picasso's transition out of the blue period and into the rose period. Starting in late 1904, this era was dominated by delicate lines, orange and pink hues, and an overall much lighter atmosphere. His primary subject matter was harlequins and acrobats, motivated by the many evenings he spent at the circus with friends. Another factor that influenced Picasso's change in style was his departure from poverty after meeting Gertrude and Leo Stein, prominent art collectors who valued his works with great sums of money. In 1906, the Steins introduced Picasso to Henri Matisse, initiating both a great friendship and a professional rivalry. Both artists began experimenting with primitivism, drawing inspiration from ancient cultures from Africa and Asia. Along with his newfound obsession with African masks, Picasso started using thicker lines and simpler shapes. These influences came together in a masterpiece titled Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, named after a brothel in Barcelona. The piece is characterized by harsh forms, reducing womanly curves to sharp lines and triangles, and the faces are reminiscent of African masks. Picasso takes female nudity, the embodiment of beauty, and strips it of all sensuality. Society hated it, describing it as a cataclysm and the work of a madman, but it marked the beginning of what is considered the most revolutionary development in painting in the 20th century, Cubism. The movement started in 1907, when Picasso and his friend George Braque began painting in a completely unprecedented fashion, distorting figures and fragmenting three-dimensional images so as to show them from all views at one time on a two-dimensional plane. Matisse commented that they looked like little cubes, and the name stuck. A truly modern form of artistic expression, Cubism emphasizes geometric forms, breaking up the subject into pieces. This style, ultimately given the name Analytic Cubism, lasted until 1912, when a new style called Synthetic Cubism appeared, marking the first use of collage in fine art. As wars tore Europe apart time and time again in the 20th century, none impacted Picasso more than the Spanish Civil War. In 1937, when Nazi bombers destroyed the small Spanish town of Guernica, a place not unlike his hometown, Picasso reacted by creating a powerful political statement in the form of art. On a large canvas and using only black and white paint, he created Guernica to show the tragedies of total war. The figures in the painting are distorted and twisted, and the humans and animals all have their mouths open, as if letting out a collective scream of terror. Picasso was so impassioned by this event that he finished the piece within a month, and it immediately became an anti-war symbol. It is said that during the Nazi occupation of Paris, the German ambassador saw a reproduction of Guernica and asked, "Did you do this?" To which Picasso replied, "No, you did." Picasso died at the age of 91 on April 8th of 1973. After marrying twice, fathering 4 children, and creating over 250,000 works of art, most would say that Picasso had a rich and fulfilling life. To truly understand him, one must view him as they would a Cubist work. You must look at him from all sides at once, both the good and the bad, and attempt to make sense of the talented, egotistical, passionate, and charismatic man that is Pablo Picasso.